So now let's jump down and let's talk about state laws, right? So state laws included space activity statutes, as I mentioned, right? They were passed by Arizona, Colorado, California, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Texas, Virginia, and Florida. Okay, so what does the space activity statute immunize from, right? Where is their ceiling? So in Arizona, there is no mention of what degree of negligence is immunized. It just says that entities are entitled, and it is not against public policy for them to enter into waivers with spaceflight participants. It provides the least amount of guidance about what that means. In California, an operator can immunize themselves from negligence claims. Okay. They don't use the term knew or should have known, which other states use, so we're going to include it in there, so it's not applicable, not there. An operator cannot immunize themselves under the space activity statutes from gross negligence or from willful and wanton conduct. Now, you would think, okay, well, that seems consistent with federal law for willful and wanton, but there seems to be a contradiction with federal law. If under federal law, and it is also consistent, it would seem, with federal law, because the term gross negligence is used, right? Well, you'd be right if gross negligence was defined the same everywhere, which it is not. And this is where things get even more complicated. So in Colorado, the statute says that you cannot immunize yourself from things that, as an operator, you knew or should have known of. You cannot immunize yourself from gross negligence, and you cannot immunize yourself from willful and wanton conduct. Okay. Knew or should have known is very similar to the concept of negligence, right? Negligence is what a reasonable person would have done in the circumstances. Another way to say that is they knew or you should have known if you're acting reasonably, right? So in Colorado, it looks like you cannot immunize yourself as an operator against knew or should have known, and probably not negligence. That puts the Colorado statute at odds with federal law, which now requires a cross waiver that does immunize you as an operator for negligence, for knew or should have known, and possibly for gross negligence, depending on how the federal law defines it and how Colorado law defines it. Florida is in the same boat. You cannot, under Florida law, immunize yourself as an operator for negligence claims. You cannot immunize yourself for things that happen because of things you knew or should have known about. You cannot immunize yourself for gross negligence or willful and wanton misconduct. New Mexico is the same. Texas, not surprisingly, is a little bit more liberal on these issues, tending to be pro-industry. Texas, under Texas Space Activity Statute, you can immunize yourself for negligence claims and against knew or should have known claims, but you cannot immunize yourself against gross negligence and willful and wanton. And again, in theory, it doesn't mention willful and wanton. Again, in theory, that seems consistent with federal law, but it may not be depending on how you define gross negligence. Virginia is in the same boat. You can immunize against negligence, but not the other two, and Oklahoma is the same.